This conference will now be recorded.
All right. It is now almost 6 p.m. on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, and I call this regular meeting of council to order at the Winnipeg office. I respectfully acknowledge that we are meeting on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, Assiniboine, and Dene people, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous and Métis communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Introductions around the table.
Hello, I'm Councillor Graham Randall.
Erwin Kumpka. Lon Turner.
Mayor Penny McMorris on the screen.
Steve Axley.
Thank you. And Councillor Chadsey is out with the flu, so he will not be attending this evening. Also on the screen, we have Mr. Juzda in preparation for a delegation in a little bit. So thank you for joining us, Nicholas. Motion to adopt the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Steve, second. Thank you. Any additions, gentlemen? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Get this organized. All right, moving on to the minutes of the November 21st meeting. Be it resolved that the minutes of the 21st November 2023 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Steve, second. Thank you. Any comments or questions? Concerns?
Good to be in order.
Yeah, looks fine to me.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right, we do have 4 delegations this evening, so I will remind all of our delegations that we ask you to please stick to 10 minutes. And our first presentation is from Sally Lawler.
Willie might be able to pick Sally up from over there.
I don't know. Steve, let us know if you can't hear, okay?
Say something, Sally.
She will.
Hi, Steve.
Can you hear Sally, okay?
Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead, Sally.
Okay. The purpose of my delegation is to seek answers from council, not to argue, and have these concerns and answers be part of a permanent record. My family have been cottage owners since the 1930s. In that time, nothing can compare to the construction being done presently on King Edward and Alexander beaches. I am a retired physiotherapist. I ended my professional career as a complaints investigator for the College of Physiotherapists in Manitoba. As such, I believe I am qualified to investigate this present destruction of King Edward and Alexander beaches. On November 21st, Council voted 4-1 to approve the revetment on King Edward Alexander beaches. Mr. Axworthy dissented and requested that the revetment design be assessed by a geotechnical engineer, a professional who is qualified to determine if the design has merit, if changes are required, if design flaws are present. Council voted to proceed with only an engineer to oversee the construction. If I choose to build a cottage, I must have a design that is approved by provincial building codes prior to work being started. The building inspector approves and oversees all aspects of the build. The cottager may do the electrical, but Manitoba Hydro and qualified electrician must inspect and sign off on the work. The assessment and oversight of the project is done by certified professionals. Should these requirements not be the same for the revetment? Council voted no. Money talks. 15 shoreline cottagers are paying for the revetment, and council is swayed. The proposal was first presented in late August when many cottagers had already packed up for the season. Public hearings were requested by BBCOA but denied by council. There has been no attempt by council to make taxpayers aware of the financial implications in the near future. This is a mega project that is being allowed to proceed without proper notice given to the concerned citizens of Victoria Beach. Approximately 17 delegations presented at the previous council meeting opposed to the revetment plan currently being built. There have been no delegations at council meetings supporting the revetment. Why? Was council's decision already decided after the August 22nd delegation submitted the revetment request? My first question was emailed to Mr. McMorris. And it was to please give a professional resume of Mr. Kraft, including educational background, professional affiliations, work experience specific to sandy beaches, and liability insurance. Thank you for replying, Penny.
You're welcome.
To summarize, education, and I got this all included. Red River Community College, 1977 to 81. Coursework mentioned, journeyman electrician, business administration. There are no professional affiliations mentioned on LinkedIn. Mrs. McMorris cited several revetments, however, none mentioned work on sandy beaches. The municipal office has a copy of both insurance and WC information, and I'm sure it's all fine. Liability. The revetment has been designed and is being built by a self-taught engineer with no professional qualifications. The design has not been assessed by a qualified geotechnical engineer. To my knowledge, there is no signed, dated, and certified seal on the design plan. Safe Haven was hired privately by the 15 cottagers. Is the project insured under Safe Haven Builders, the 15 cottagers, or the municipality, or jointly by all three? If yes, do they all have liability insurance? Next summer, as an example, if a person throws a frisbee and it lands high up on the revetment, the person is injured retrieving the frisbee. The person sues. Who do they sue? Wolf Craft, Safe Haven, the municipality, 15 cottagers. Could any of council please answer?
Ron, can you answer that? We have liability insurance through through Western Financial.
Yeah, there's general liability insurance for all of our public properties. The RM is at cause or negligence. That would be up to, I guess, a lawyer or something to define that. Our lawyer had no risks associated with this for us.
Would the 15 cottagers also be jointly held liable as they hired Safe Haven and Safe Haven is doing the work?
You know, the limitations of the plaintiff's pleadings are limited only by his creativity and his imagination. There's no limit on what can be done. In the end, the party would have to prove that they had sustained.
I know, but I'm saying there is a good chance a child went up on the rocks, fell, twisted an arm, broke a leg. I'll use an example of Fort Gibraltar right now. There could be a lawsuit.
Sure.
And I'm just asking, who would it involve? Would the 15 cottagers be involved because they hired Safe Haven to do the work?
Possibly.
Would the municipality be involved because they allowed a project to go on by a self-taught engineer who doesn't have professional qualifications?
Most likely because the property is on municipal land.
Okay,
Not because of who did the project.
Again, would have to be established that the injury was somehow contributed by the municipality, by the contractor, by the property owners.
okay.
It would have to be established that they had done it. There's only two ways negligent.
Yeah, no, I want to get on with my presentation, so you can
I
answer.
just respond.
Yeah, thank you.
You have,
Okay, now my
I'm an
question.
insurance professional.
Yeah.
I-
Okay, questions directed to specific counselors. Mr. Randall, I have a copy of your handbill for a by-election when you were first elected to council. At the top, you have my concerns, and it's listed as shoreline. Under my views, you categorically state no revetments.
Mhm.
You won a lot of votes and possibly the election with this standard. You also highlight a web page, Preserving Victoria Beach. On the web page, you are mentioned several times as a counselor to endorse due to your stand against revetments on sandy beaches. Please explain this dramatic turnabout. Cottagers who voted for you on this stand are the ones you face today, so strongly opposed to revetment.
I believe I replied in writing to your email. Um,
No, you didn't.
I replied to
Because I just
somebody
got
about
this
it.
handbill. I just received this handbill.
Oh, I've already replied to whoever sent it to me in the first place. I'm
Well,
sorry. I
I'm
didn't-
asking a reply now.
Oh, okay. That was 6 or 7 years ago.
2018.
Okay. I'm still very much in favor of doing whatever I can contribute to protect our beaches. What has changed? What has changed in the intervening years is that erosion has continued on so that it's now within inches of the people's property lines.
Have you served
That's what has changed. Yes, we've served it. That's my answer. Thank you.
That's what you're going by, okay? That's fine. For Mr. Chadsey, unfortunately, he's not here. He is also cited on the same web page, Preserving Victoria Beach, as being opposed to revetments on sandy beaches. I would like him to explain his change, why he has suddenly reversed. Now, my other part for him, which he can't answer because unfortunately he hasn't clue, is that there will be many expenses passed on to RMVB taxpayers. You have had many weeks to do a financial breakdown of the cost to the taxpayers. Because can we as taxpayers expect an increase in our taxes? Have you prepared a rough budget for the following expenses? And of course, it's not here to summarize, but what I listed are the municipality revetment costs at King Edward and Alex Stairs. And if there are more, I don't know. Cost of a road on King Edward from First Avenue to the shoreline, which I am told the municipality paid for.
No,
No?
no,
State Haven paid, the 15 cottagers paid for the road?
yes.
Thank you. The cost of perpetual sand nourishment. And it's literally a drop in the bucket of what's being proposed right now. We know it will be much more. And the cost of developing a sand quarry. Okay? I don't know if there is a sand quarry, but I'll get to that later on. Okay.
We have 1 minute left.
Hmm?
1 minute?
Well, Mr. Kumko is taking a bit of my time there.
You did.
You asked the question. Do you not want us to answer that?
No, it's all.
Because you can talk for 10 minutes and then we'll answer.
It's all from Mr. Chadsey, and he's
And he's
not
not here.
present, he has a flu, and I said that.
So
right from the beginning.
can we skip through Mr. Chadsey then?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Awesome,
He's
thank
not here, we can't do it. For Lon Turner.
Only
Yes.
fair to add 3 minutes to her presentation because she's right. We did take up at least 3 minutes of her time.
Yep, no problem.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Lon Turner. The municipality has hired I don't know how you pronounce it, Tech Consulting Limited to manage the project. I believe Steve Coffey is responsible for having the revetment and work inspected on an ongoing basis. I managed to speak with Steve today. He is a contract manager. He says a gentleman called Kip is the one on site. He said he spends about 2 hours daily looking at the site, and he comes unannounced. So really, there are no concerns with that. Okay, next. Mr. Axworthy and Mr. McMorris, communication. There has been no council communication to the residents through this mega project. The massive destruction of King Edward, Alex Beaches, and the financial implications to the taxpayers. You have a section on your webpage called local notices. The original proposal from August 22nd was posted until a few days ago. Why was it removed? Inquired, it was restored.
Contingent.
Interesting.
Just-
On November 30th, a new notice appeared banning anyone not involved in the construction from accessing these beaches. The photos being posted show the destruction and dumping of small boulders on the beach. The photos may also have shown the reconfiguration on some of the cliffs. The council not want the general population to view the destruction? If it was for safety reasons, what will happen next summer when children return to the sandy playground, which will now have a dangerous rocky cliff abutting the beach? Why has the general population not been updated on a regular basis? The Victoria Beach restricted area is often criticized for preferential treatment, and believe me, we do get that. Victoria Beach Cottage Owner Association has done their part to notify members and publicly oppose the project. It should be made clear to everyone that this is a proposal from 15 cottagers who will pay for the building of the revetment, but the ongoing costs will be paid for by all taxpayers. Please comment. Will you start to use the local notices to keep the population apprised of this mega project? Steve or Lawrence?
Do you want us to answer?
Yes,
I don't control what goes on the website. My understanding is that project, there was an update posted recently, Ron, I think.
No, we initially put it up after it was presented to us, and then when you post it on Connect, there's always a start date and an end date. So I think I just, whatever date it came off. I mean, we hadn't approved anything, nothing was going forward, I just put it up for a couple of months, I guess, just for everybody to read.
Yeah,
And then you let me know that it wasn't there, so we put it back on,
The
which is fine.
detailed plan of the project.
Yeah. And then we put a safety notice on there, just to say, if you're in that area, be careful of big trucks and don't walk down the stairs because the bottoms have been taken off.
It's a construction site. We
pure
don't want
safety.
people down there in the way of equipment. We don't want, the stairs are missing,
okay,
removed. It's purely safety. You can look at it from the bank.
okay, well, fortunately, we're still getting photos, so.
Well, okay, if you want to rely on the photos that you're getting, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the narrative that goes with them and the photos that they show, anyway.
Anyways, but what about local notices? Would it not be a good idea to put something on local notices for the general public, where it goes to your webpage to find out what's happening on those beaches? Because when they come back next summer, they're going to be very surprised to see what's been happening.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay?
Well,
I'm
what do you
very,
mean,
very,
it's like their notices, it's on our notices.
It is on our
website.
local notices.
It's been there for weeks. and
What
weeks.
else did you, what else is there? I
A
don't know.
detailed plan of the project.
No, we don't want a detailed plan. We want to know what's happening so that people next spring are aware the plan is going ahead and what they will see when they come to the beach next summer. Because they don't know. Also, the cost that will be accrued as far as sand nourishment. People don't know that's gone ahead. I think it's only fair that the taxpayers of Victoria needs to be apprised of what's happening.
It is also, these meetings are all videotaped. They're all on our website. Our minutes are on our website. Anybody can go there at any time and look at the meetings. They can show up to the meetings. But now you're running the meeting.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm teasing you, Sally. I agree that we could do better, perhaps, give some updates, but that's something we'll have to consider for sure. Steve?
I mean, I think really what Sally's talking about is just basically basic progress reports. So I don't see any reason why we can't do that. I think it's a generally reasonable request. So, I mean, I don't know how detailed we necessarily could get, but I mean, just basically, this is where things are right now and whether or not it's going to be completed by the time frame that we've given it. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Thank you. Okay, I'll try to go very fast last bit. Mr. Kumka, a few meetings ago, we discussed an ice road versus the approved King Edward access. That was a meeting here. We talked after the meeting. I was concerned about heavy loads on roads not built to withstand the weight. Your reply to me was the work will be done in the winter when the roads are solidly frozen. The work is being done now on roads that are not frozen. Please comment.
But we've had an unusually warm November. What was likely to be frozen has not frozen solid.
But you allowed the work to continue regardless of that, after you said it would only be done on frozen roads.
I was out there when the project got started, and I see no evidence of any severe rutting or damage to that short access that runs from Sunset down to the beach.
What about the whole roadway, 8th and King Edward roads?
Now, those roads should be able to sustain normal truck traffic.
Yeah.
We have snow plows, we have graders, we have heavy pieces of equipment that go up and down there, summer and winter. So I don't anticipate a huge problem. If there is some damage, then that could easily be graded up.
Mrs. McMorris, Public Works. I was going to ask Okay, do you know the tonnage limits or size of vehicles allowed on 8th and King Edward?
I do not.
Okay, what are the weight restrictions on King Edward and 8th? Are there weight restrictions?
I do not know.
Are you
Okay.
talking about on the beach?
No, on the
On
road.
the roads.
Were these roads built for this type of use? Do you foresee damage to these roads?
We've got gravel trucks traveling down those roads for 50 years.
Years, trucks, graders. and-
If repairs are needed, will it just be swallowed up in the overall budget, or will be an extra amount if it's severe enough damage?
I wouldn't see more damage than just a regular grader smoothing it out, regular grabbing program.
The
So
roads
it's
are
part of
graded-
public
the
works.
roads are graded every year.
Well, we know. I'm just asking with this extra work. Okay, I'm trying to go fast for you. Sand quarry. Sand has already been deposited on the beach as part of the revetment.
No, it has not.
We were told it had
Well,
been.
who told you that?
It was, I don't know who told me Sandy.
Okay, that's okay.
And I honestly don't know, but someone was concerned and they said they saw it was being taken and they said, no, it hadn't been deposited.
Well, how do we reply to
The
that?
only sand that has been moved around on those beaches has been trenched up by the equipment that is there. There's
Okay,
been no new material brought in, no material taken out.
okay, that's
There
good, that's good to know.
There would be some sand from the old existing sandbags that were being cut open and the sand was
Okay.
distributed down.
That's good to know. Okay. What is it? No, I don't want to do that, then to answer. Does RMVB have a sand quarry in the RA?
We have what's called a borrow pit. It's
Yep.
off of Highway 504, and it was tested by Golder and Associates in 2015 to be almost a very excellent match for the sand on our beaches. It will need to be sifted in some locations, but yes, we do.
Okay, so it's operational right now.
Well, we don't use it, but
Okay.
it's there,
That
yes.
would be the source of sand.
What about the cost of the roads, et cetera, to make the quarry operational? Do you foresee cost involved there?
No, there's already a road in.
Okay. Environmental onus on 15 cottages. Grass is being mowed to the cliff edge. I was told that I had to take a photo. Steve told me that I should have taken a photo when I saw the man mowing right to the cliff edge because he couldn't do anything to enforce the bylaw. Trees and bush on municipal land have been removed along there. Structures have been built on remaining municipal land along the cliff edge, which is visible to anyone walking along the beach. The municipality and cottages appear to be unclear as to what is private land versus municipal. Has a recent survey been done? I'd say one in the last 4 or 5 years,
We've had a survey done in
2 weeks ago.
November.
November.
Yeah,
Okay,
and we
so
didn't
you-
get a map. though.
You know
Mark them.
exactly where,
From,
They just surveyed King Edward and Alexandra.
yeah,
They marked right at the end of the private property line,
they did not
Where
go
it
into
ended?
Scott Point.
no,
and then they just marked the road allowances with a pin. So we didn't get provided, I think, for after.
Yeah,
A plan or anything like that, but they just, I think you walked it after they
Yeah.
marked it, and you could see it was quite close.
Yep.
it's closed, but it hasn't encroached yet.
Some
Private
are-
property.
some are
Within
very
inches
close.
in
It's
some cases.
close, it's close, okay. Are any enforcement, or is any enforcement of bylaws being undertaken by council to prevent work on what's left of any municipal land, such as mowing, removal of brush, building a structure?
Not actively, but I have reviewed the letter that Raymond had sent out a couple of years ago. We do need to do that again, but I never know what the right time of the year to do this.
There are 2 decks there. that
Yes.
are almost falling over the cliff
Yeah.
right now, and I don't think they're on private
You can help me with
property.
the timing on this. I was thinking in the spring. Couple of subsequent letters for this.
There's no doubt that in the past, there may have been some councils that put the blinders on when it came to enforcement.
These are being built in this present council's time. I would say both these structures have been built within the last 2 years.
I'd like to know. about them.
Well, go down the beach and take a look up above.
Yeah.
Okay? In closing, I recommend everyone go to the webpage Preserving Victoria Beach, which is on Graham Randall's handout. Okay? The last entry being November 7th, 2018. So that would be just after the election. Sadly, it warned up and predicted the eventual destruction and disappearance of all sandy beaches if revetments were allowed. The Baird report has been dissected and quoted in part to justify this revetment. Money talks and council listens. The cliffs are receding from way back from below and slumping from above, partly due to human misuse. Mother Nature always wins in the long run, as any shoreline community throughout the world. We are no exception. I finish with 2 axioms. Haste makes waste. You get what you pay for. Thank you.
Can I just ask, and I'm sorry, Steve, you had a question. I'll let you go ahead.
It wasn't so much a question, it's just a couple things. First was that the stakes are in and anybody can go take a look at them. They are in some places a few inches and others about a foot, maybe a meter. Other places they're much further out, but the bank is, yes, there's no encroachment in terms of it being directly on somebody's property line, but it is directly in front of somebody's property by only, as I said, about a foot to maybe a meter in some spots. I would also just, I mean, not to beat a dead horse because we've said it over and over again, and I'm pretty sure that we're all not in agreement with this, but it's what has always been come back to us, which is that you need to catch, apparently you need to catch somebody directly in the act of clearing vegetation in front of or on municipal land to actually ticket them. So that's what we've been always told, and unfortunately that's sort of what all councils have gone by, and that's the police chiefs, plural, telling us that.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Preserving Victoria Beach. Do you know who authors that blog? Yeah, go figure. There's no name on it.
There's no name on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I think the last entry was in November of that year. And I tried to find out who,
Why don't you-
obviously some are not in favor of that.
Correct.
And I think it had to do, came up due to the election going on with candidates.
It's been in place for a number of years. There's never been anyone attributed who is willing to sign their name to it,
Yeah.
but the writing is very familiar. So we're often criticized about not being open and transparent, and yet the person who authors this blog refuses to put their name to it.
Oh, I agree, but I find it interesting reading because they cite the Baird report, they cite a lot of good
Yes,
quality
and they cite their
information
opinion as well.
and their opinion, which
Yeah.
we all have.
Correct.
We all have our own opinion.
Yeah.
Do you want a copy of this or not?
Okay, thank you, Sally. I hope we
Thank you
answered
for
some of your questions.
opinion, so.
All right, if we could please, because we have 4 delegations, could we please keep to the 10 minutes out of fairness and respect for everyone? Mr. Juzda, I hope you're still there. Yes, you are. You are up, sir. Go ahead.
There we go. Okay, so first, it's going to be tough to follow Sally's presentation, which was excellent, and good job, Sally. All right. I would first like to read to Council from the Municipal Development Plan of the Royal Municipality of Victoria Beach, attached to bylaw number 1553. Section 3.2.3 sub B sub 1 reads as follows, quote, development or intensified use of land is prohibited in hazard areas susceptible to flooding, erosion, or slope instability without a proper geotechnical engineering or environmental assessment that defines the nature and extent of the hazard and the required measures or actions necessary to eliminate or mitigate the hazard. The mitigating measures may not interfere with or unduly compromise the character, enjoyment, or sustainability of private or public property. The construction that has now begun on King Edward and Alexandra beaches did not undergo the proper geotechnical engineering or environmental assessment that was required by the Municipal Development Plan. It also will interfere with and unduly compromise the character, enjoyment, and sustainability of this public land. Having an engineer involved in some capacity in the project is not sufficient to meet the clear language of the development plan. What is required is, quote, a proper geotechnical engineering or environmental assessment. When I addressed Council several weeks ago, Mayor McMorris stated that no environmental assessment would be done because the development plan required that either, but not both, a geotechnical engineering assessment or an environmental assessment be performed, and that since a geotechnical engineering assessment would be done, no environmental assessment was necessary. However, that geotechnical engineering assessment was not done, nor was an environmental assessment done, despite the reason Mayor McMorris provided no longer being applicable. Mayor McMorris stated that she was comfortable with this approach. Mayor McMorris may be comfortable with violating the terms of the development plan, but council has obligations beyond what Mayor McMorris finds personally comfortable, and it is not meeting them. I asked in my previous appearance whether the engineering assessment would review the structure's overall stability, its effectiveness at controlling erosion, and its impact upon the sand. As it turns out, none of these things have been or apparently will be assessed. The impact upon the sand has been extensively discussed at previous meetings. It is clear and undeniable that there will be a negative impact. We just don't know exactly how bad the impact of this particular design will be, or whether that impact could be lessened through a better design or appropriate accompanying measures. The stability of the structure also remains in doubt. We will apparently find out the hard way how long it will stand, and the community will bear the costs, literally and figuratively. As to whether this particular rock structure will even actually stop erosion, Mr. Blake Taylor informed council 2 weeks ago that the expert opinion of the vice president of the very engineering firm that council has retained, not retained to do an assessment, but to be involved in some other capacity, is that this structure will not stop the erosion at the top of the cliffs above the structure, which is the alleged reason for this construction. It won't work. Some of the lakefront owners have very sensibly withdrawn their support from this project. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that and to thank them for their wise decision, whatever their motivation may have been. And if any of the dozen or so owners who still support this project are listening, I want to tell them this. Whether or not you care about the public beaches, you're being conned into wasting your money on a structure that won't even stop erosion. Council is well aware of the flaws in this design. The very concern that Mayor McMorris and other council members have expressed with having an engineer perform an actual geotechnical engineering assessment is that the engineer will point out the problems with this design, problems that council is well aware of and has even specifically acknowledged at recent meetings, such as the inappropriate slope, and therefore possibly delay or derail the planned construction. Council knows these flaws are there, but 4/5 of the council want to build it anyway. They are simply prepared to build a structure that will fail. The reasons for this are, frankly, baffling to most of this community. It will destroy our beaches, and it will fail. Perhaps council is unconcerned about whether this will actually stop erosion because they understand that there is actually no short-term threat from erosion, which will, at worst, over the coming decades, nibble away at a few inches of a few properties, turning a small section at one end of those properties from grass to slope over time. But in that case, there's no reason to sacrifice our community's beaches to these piles of rock. If this structure is actually well designed, then it can withstand the scrutiny of an engineering assessment. If it is not, it should not be built. Even if you are not concerned about the beaches, it should not be built if it is unstable or if it won't work. Construction has not proceeded very far. There is still time to perform an assessment before we lose our beautiful beaches with no benefit to anyone on either side of this issue. I have some questions for council. First, do you acknowledge that the development plan requires, quote, a proper, and that's the word he uses, proper, a proper geotechnical engineering or environmental assessment?
Anybody else want to answer this one?
Sure.
Okay.
Page 18 of the report you're referring to talks about development. I don't think that we can consider the placement of rocks to protect the beach as a development.
I would also like to add, Nicholas, that when the Baird report was published in 2014, after that, Council of the Day decided that we would go ahead with a project for shoreline stabilization on King Edward, Alex, and Connaught. Those beaches were deemed to be 3 of the high-risk beaches by Baird. In the Baird report, they say there shouldn't be no revetments on King Edward. Yet, less than a year later, Council of the Day was dealing with Baird, designing a full structure, including groins, including sand replenishment, including a tow rock revetment to protect that beach. At that time, there was no plan to go up to the full height of the bank, which is what I think you might be referring to when you talk about the erosion at the base of the bank. Baird did say a toe bluff revetment at the base of the bank would slow down the erosion at the base of the bank. They did also acknowledge that erosion would continue from the top of the bank. Sloughing would continue.
So I take from that council acknowledges the top of the bank will continue to erode eventually in the coming years and decades, turning some of these private properties into slope. This won't stop that. That's literally what you just said.
Correct, but it will slow it down at the base of the bank, which is what Baird suggested we do.
Yep.
And the Baird revetment was at about a 2.5 to 1 slope, or a 2 to 1 slope even.
So this doesn't actually address the question I asked, though, which is, does council acknowledge that the development plan requires, quote, a proper geotechnical engineering or environmental assessment? Those are the words that are in the development plan. Council acknowledge that.
It's not a development.
Okay, when we were going to go ahead with that revetment in 2015, Golder and Associates came and did slope stability studies on King Edward and Alexander, Thandra, and on Connaught. They did those slope stability studies approximately 1 or 2 meters in from the top of the bank. They did there's all sorts of shore studies that were done, studies done out in the lake by Baird. There's been, there's a list of stuff, I don't have it in front of me, a list of studies that were done by Baird or contracted out by Baird in anticipation of council of the day going ahead with that project. My argument would be the composition of that bank where the studies were done has not changed. What has changed is there's further erosion. So when I said I feel comfortable with this going ahead, it is based on the studies that were done and paid for by our residents in 2015 for a project that was part of the $600,000 that we all paid that never saw the light of day.
Okay, I'm going to repeat the question. Do you acknowledge that the development plan requires, quote, a proper geotechnical engineering or environmental assessment, unquote?
Yes, I acknowledge that, and my argument is, as I've just said, that those studies have been done.
That those studies have been done of the current design?
No.
That's what the development plan requires.
Current design references the Baird report and the suggestions that were placed in it.
The current design has almost
on the dangerous area, the riparian area, slope hazard, anything else mentioned in the development plan. Of course, you're going to get a geotechnical study done because you don't want to build a $300,000, $400,000 house on an area that's not stable. When you're placing flowers or wood or sand or rocks, is that considered as development to everybody?
Well, apparently rocks are not.
Well, it's up for debate. What kind of development? Where is it? And where's it going?
It is.
And what's the situation? I want to just ask
a question that it's up for debate whether it has to apply the development plan in any given instance.
Do you consider the long-term implications of doing nothing to the ratepayers in Victoria Beach? Do you think that with all the documentation of these shoreline owners trying to protect themselves from shoreline erosion, which the RM protects all the other residents, they put up dikes, they put up other revetments in other areas to prevent them from high water. But for some reason, erosion control, we don't want to do that. So do you think there's any legal implication to the RM of Victoria Beach if they prevent these shoreline owners from protecting their property?
Has council therefore obtained legal advice as to what legal rights these
to expropriate land that's worth $10 million plus? Does anybody worry about that?
Well,
Does anybody worry about
that?
All right.
Okay.
Question.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're talking about development and if you're building a new building, yes, but what about buying? Many of those owners,
This
I
has
think
gone on.
maybe a half a dozen dollars. What do they think about it?
That would be up to them.
All right, sorry, this has, time out. Time out. Sorry, Nicholas. Go ahead.
All right, based on what was just said, then I'm going to ask, did council obtain legal advice on the specific issue of whether these property owners would have had valid legal claims against the municipality if this project had not been approved?
Yes,
What was the result? What was that legal advice?
I just told you.
No, you didn't. You sort of vaguely shouted some stuff at the audience that I couldn't really understand.
I asked the question clearly. What's your question again?
What was the legal advice that council's lawyers gave to council on the potential cause of action and likelihood of success of any action brought by these lakefront owners if the approval was not granted?
There is potential for legal liability, yes.
That's incredibly vague. I'm asking, what was the cause of action and likelihood of success that was informed to you? Sorry, that your lawyers informed you of.
I don't even understand the question anymore.
Even in the,
All right.
I can't answer that question for you, Nicholas. I didn't speak to our lawyers
Ron
about
has
this,
answered yes.
but Lon has answered yes. But you will note in the Baird report, it does refer to if no mitigating measures are done, the property will become private, the beach may become private, and at that point, the property owners will have authority in some respects, in some ways, to do work on the shoreline. If we continue to not allow them to do work on the shoreline, whether it's public or private property, and their properties start to fail, and we still say, sorry, no, you can't do anything, that's when we will inevitably end up in court. You trained as a lawyer, you're not going to not allow someone to protect their property, and they are going to put up a fight.
They may bring a suit. That doesn't mean that they'll win. And you've also just admitted that
we have to pay for the suit. We have to defend ourselves.
you
Right?
have to defend the community. Yes, that would be an obligation. The council actually has an obligation to defend against some suits that are brought against it.
Correct.
Regardless, well, I assume then the answer to my next question, which is, will council follow the development plan, halt the currently ongoing construction, actually order the proper geotechnical engineering and environmental assessment as required by the development plan? I assume no.
The project is going ahead as we speak.
Okay. Yes, I asked, will council halt this to order a geotechnical engineering or environmental assessment as required by the development plan?
And my answer to that has been, those studies have been done. Our geotechnical engineer, who used to work for the Shoreline Erosion Technical Committee, was a provincial employee for a number of years, has received those reports. He knows what's in them. So no, he has not assessed the project because he didn't design the project, but he and his associates are there very regularly. And no red flags have been raised to date.
All right, so council is choosing not to actually perform an assessment as required. Is council aware that its violations of the development plan have been the subject of numerous complaints to the Manitoba Ombudsman and the Municipal Board?
Yes.
Does
Oh, yeah.
council?
We get calls every other day from them, yeah.
Okay, on a slightly different note, by the way, is council aware that the construction now occurring is not following the proposal as posted on the municipality's website, with the trench at the base not being filled with rocks that have a 4 to 5 foot diameter, like it says in the proposal?
I don't believe there's been any rocks placed in the trench yet.
All right. I'm done.
Thank you, Nicholas. All right, moving on to, sorry, the next one, I believe is Joanne Gibson.
I will do my best to read as quickly as possible. And I've gone from 7 pages to 4.
Well done.
Okay, so I really tried. And just want to tell everybody that's here that a lot of these ideas are my ideas.
And this is
And they will, this is what I will
this is
get
for the Shoreline Advisory Committee, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, something different.
Yeah.
And I just want to invite the community to share ideas as well. Nothing that I'm saying is written in stone or has been approved. Okay. I'm Joanne Parker Gibson, 4th Avenue, Victoria Beach. When I first spoke as one of your delegations on September the 5th, I stated that I truly believe that this community cares deeply about the preservation of our beaches, our shorelines, and our shoreline cottage owners' cottages. And that for all of us to find success, we must work together. Said that September the 5th. And I truly believe that if we all listen and hear each other and work together respectfully without bullying, that we will find the best possible solution for our beloved Victoria Beach. I appreciate the willingness of our mayor, CAO, council to work on these difficult issues. I do not envy. I appreciate the work of the cottage owner, Laura Jones, and the dedication of her builder, Wolf Craft. And I understand the concern of all the lakefront cottage owners. No one wants to see cottages lost, no one. The Victoria Beach Cottage Owners Association, or VBCOA, does not want to see any cottage lost. None of us here today do. Lakefront owners, you are one of us. You're concerned cottage. I also appreciate the work of Blake Taylor and the VBCOA, and I understand the desire to protect the VRA beaches, the shoreline, and as you've often heard Blake and many other VBC members say, and in many delegations, that they want to see the shoreline cottages protected in the best possible manner. The VBC COA has never asked for anything unreasonable. The geotechnical assessment of the design. Our shoreline advisory committee, beach nourishment, and a living shoreline in the design following the PB development. VB COA wants the best results for all concerned, all of our cottage owners, permanent residents, renters, and day visitors. And that would go for our entire RA. So yes, it has definitely been difficult and challenging for everyone concerned, and we must now begin to work together as a community. And I do not have the energy to do another musical. So today, after much consultation with many of the past Shoreline Advisory Committee members, I wish to request the reestablishment of the Victoria Beach Shoreline Advisory Committee to assist council going forward. Here's a little history I'd like to share with you. My research today, the Victoria Beach Shoreline and Beach Management Advisory Committee, that was a long name. So it was first established, to my knowledge, in 2010 after the waterball. It was renamed in 2017 to the Victoria Beach Shoreline Advisory Committee. The goal of this committee was to provide advice and recommendations to council on issues relating to shoreline, beaches, and municipality. The committee worked to achieve this goal by providing responsible shoreline management, which included both beach preservation and thoughtful shoreline and property protection. The committee enlisted members with specific expertise to provide advice in areas such as, but not limited to, finance, fundraising, government grant writing, environmentalism, and included open community consultations. The most recent VB Shoreline Advisory Committee of 2017 had a membership of 8 members representing 8 interest groups. Jennifer Emmerich was the vehicle restricted area, Tammy Archer, the VB Cottage Owners, Doug Peterson, North Shore, Owen Griffin, Wansing, Pat Hoger, Albert Beach, Peter Kerrigan, Lakefront, Michelle Carlson, VB Permanent Residents, Ron Hatton, and Nelson Hastings Homesteaders, and their leader at that time was Wilson Raze, a senior shoreline erosion technical committee chair for the province of Manitoba Water Control Ranch. This committee provided a recommendation for a standard set of designs to mitigate shoreline erosion while preserving the public beaches, and reference material reviewed included but was not limited to 3 things. The shoreline management plan, which we've all heard a million times, prepared by Mayor Baird with help of Pete Zuzak, geomorphologist and author of the Baird Report 2014 and the Baird Update 2015. Number 2, beach nourishment, a gentle slope and bank stability, advised by the Provincial Shoreline Erosion Technical Committee, CTEC 2016. And 3, and this was from 2012 group, Community Perspectives and Community Solutions, a report created by the 2012 VB Shoreline and Beach Management. The main factors were considered at the time were beach preservation, shoreline erosion, environmental aesthetics. Now, these shoreline committees worked along with council in an advisory role, providing recommendations for all of the shorelines and beaches in the municipality, not just the VRA. Always encouraging council to follow their own development. For reasons unknown to me, the BB Shoreline Advisory Committee was recently disbanded, as well as the province of Manitoba Shoreline Group, CTAG. I'm happy to report that on November 3rd, Sheldon Anderson, representative for the MLA, the Honorable Jamie Moses, Manitoba Natural Resources Land Branch in Neepawa, stated, or I should say assistant for Jamie, established, are looking to reestablish their shoreline erosion technical CTEC and has a new job posting 41755 seeking to hire a senior shoreline management geotechnical engineer, and their applications for that job closed November 19th. I don't know if they've seeded it yet. They were hopeful. And it could be done, they just haven't got back to me. Today I'm asking council to reestablish our shoreline advisory committee as soon as possible. Don't get mad, preferably early January 2024 rather than in March, as was earlier suggested. And I am certain that there are committee members ready to help council with this important task when requested. Having spoken recently to the shoreline committee members, here are some of my personal ideas for the reestablishment of this committee. And these ideas are no doubt in need of some further community. Our our committee would be voluntary, multiple disciplinary committee composed of hardworking invested representatives from the entire RN community, and upon invitation, knowledgeable representatives from the local, provincial, and federal governments who can provide technical advice and insight on shoreline erosion issues and offer suggestions for the design and construction of shoreline protection works and stabilizations, especially when an application for shoreline protection work is forwarded to our advisory committee from council or the local planning or development authority. Our shoreline committee would be an advisory committee for council to help achieve the goal of providing responsible shoreline management, which is inclusive of both beach preservation and thoughtful shoreline and property selection. Dedicated and knowledgeable volunteers would volunteer or be invited to apply to one of the following beach groups, and council to request membership in the Shoreline Advisory Committee by December 15th, so that the shoreline challenge is ahead in the year so that future 2024 committee members can begin working to educate each other on the different shoreline challenges ahead in the new year. These willing and capable volunteers would be asked to submit an application form and a resume to both their beach group and council. I'm trying to get even a resume or beach an application form ready for you, but I ran out of time. One representative would be from each of the following BB groups. Group 1, Alexander, King Edward, and Connaught beaches. Group 2, Patricia Arthur and Clubhouse beaches. 3, Pierpoint, Yacht Club, and Bayview beaches. Group 4, Sandy Bay, Wansing, and Albert Beach. And also, one representative would be selected from each of the BB associations. One from the BBRM Council for leadership. Group 6 would be an experienced member of the former BB Shoreline Advisory Committee. Group 7 would be Lakefront Shore Owners Cottages Association member. Group 8 would be the BB Cottager Owners Association. Wanting work in the VRA or works for the VRA. And Group 9 would be the homesteaders. I think it's very important to have history so that we don't repeat the errors of the past. And Group 10, the Lake Winnipeg Foundation. Executive member Alex Canoe, who spoke at our Winnipeg walk last summer. Here's the quote. We would invite her, maybe. She has a PhD in environmental science with experience working with diverse organizations in a nonprofit and community development sectors, and is a lifelong lake lover. That's the kind of people we want to pull together to help. Points to consider in selecting group representatives, one rep for each group, and one alternate rep in the event the main rep can attend. Some reps might be able to represent two groups to help make the shoreline smaller and more workable. For example, maybe Councilor Randall would do Wanising, and maybe Councilor would do Albert Beach. Who knows? I'm just throwing that out there. And it would be also, just as an example, no pressure. It would also be wonderful if some directors would share ideas from the First Nations, Métis, and French perspectives. Our First Nations friends, the keepers of the land, have been here for generations, and they would no doubt be happy to share their wisdom with us today and with our future generations tomorrow.
Are you almost done?
Last
Ryan?
page. Okay, it's important that the Shoreline Advisory have a total number of reps that remain small and workable, maybe the 10 and a leader. It would be very important for each rep of their group to report back to their beach community via email or, however, via Zoom, to educate their residents for a better understanding of our community concerns, to prevent bullying, to minimize the spread of misinformation, and to build community. Also, a shoreline management engineer, someone maybe like EngTech or CTech, might provide leadership, as in the past, and share their working knowledge of current shoreline erosion mechanisms, slope stability analysis, beach solidity tools. Challenges ahead, few, I think this has been addressed. A few shoreline cottages are now too close to the water's edge. Yes, something needs to be done. Some cottagers, shoreline cottagers, and I hate to pick on them, have been allowed to cut down their natural shoreline protected trees, grasses, and vegetation for a view and build their own stairs or use ropes to access the beach, often just for personal convenience rather than the real need for accessibility. Many of these events are happening today without any accountability or enforcement. I don't want to see people having to take pictures, somebody throwing a tree down and become liable. So we need enforcement. Everybody deserves a safe place to access the beach. With the help of an advisory committee, all cottage owners will be able to receive better information and education about these concerns, information that might also be shared in public forum in an open and transparent manner and during the summer months when everybody's here. I appreciate though that today council meetings are available online. Just Google RMBB council meetings. And it's also my hope that when council receives a request for further shoreline, they will first share that request with their advisory committee, then seek advice from the soon to be reestablished provincial CTEC and or a geotech engineer, and finally have a public forum on what matters for conditioning and improving the project. Council has a duty to consider the well-being and interest of the whole municipality by law. 611, Principle 3.1. Every cottage owner, permanent resident, and renter needs to be educated on all the challenges coming and to know that their opinion and that of councils can and must be heard in a supportive and respectful manner. Hopefully in the future, there will never be again a need for police presence at council meetings to protect community representatives and our elected officials. That would be nice if there's no police right now. Almost done. As a member of the BB Cottage Owners Association, I support the mission to preserve the historic quality of our VA. Everyone's familiar with this. I'm going to jump to the next paragraph. I believe that our advisory committee could help you, council, my council, bring our community back together again. We're all invested in Victoria Beach's future, and we all need to move into the 20th century practices. So the beautiful and very unique beaches and forests of Victoria Beach are not lost to future generations. We may be the caretakers of the land, but if we all work together, helping one another, a common sense solution.
Thank you. Thank you. Oof. All right.
If anybody wants to know who Alex is.
I spoke to Alex about this. This is not her mandate.
Okay. I would just even be on the committee to advise.
Her mandate is the lake, the health of the lake,
The water.
not the shoreline and the community project.
I'm glad you spoke to him.
This was a
You know what,
while.
I'm not angry. Like, I want everybody to know that. I'm not angry. I'm really disappointed. like the Facebook page had to be paused because they kept all their own rules. Like the comments made at council, the personal comments. You know, you say you want to be a community and you want to find a solution,
I don't go on Facebook.
but I don't know. I don't feel, I think the only people looking for a solution have been council and the shoreline owners. I think everybody else has been trying to tear them down. You know,
We're
something.
not carrying anyone
Well,
down.
no, it kind of feels like it. The calls I get from FIFA and the ombudsman and the things I hear about on Facebook, people saying stuff to everybody, the emails and the accusations about us meeting Saturday night in our town, passing secret bylaws. I mean, enough is.
I think we have to be aware of the dangers of social media.
No, it's email.
It's emails,
you know
it's
what-
emails too. It's
They're
emails.
not getting together, trying to find a solution that works for everybody. There's people trying to protect their party and everybody trying to protect the natural. You want to be each and
We're
every-
trying to protect.
And
them.
so are
Sorry, I'm very sorry.
That's-
No, see, that's, you get defensive, like you're not asking, you're not.
But people are.
Have you- okay, can one more question.
All right, then I'm
Have you
gonna,
spoken to a lot of shoreline owners in this
Okay,
thing?
next
No,
week.
haven't, have you?
Yeah, I am going to next week.
You haven't.
No.
Okay, see, my point's made.
You're not listening to me, are you?
But you haven't.
You're asking a question that you answer. I know several of them. In respect to them who are in favor of this,
Yeah.
I don't want to bring it up with them. I respect what they want, and I hope they respect what I want. And one of them will be at my house next week playing bridge, and this topic is off limits. No one will discuss it, because we don't want that time. They're our friends. Okay?
well,
Okay, enough.
I've taught a lot of the shoreline members.
They're our friends.
You go, I'm going.
I didn't say they weren't your friends, I'm just,
Oh, this is-
the
Yeah.
stuff
All
that
right.
this
But
office
but
has
I
to deal with.
really
Yeah.
think we need to hear and listen to each other, support each other. And. yes.
A
And
lot
I-
of those
yeah.
comments aren't supported.
okay,
that's all.
thank you. And so I'm going to move along. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joanne. Bill Hurdig, you are up, sir. You can sit wherever you like. You can stay there. Thank you. Thank you, Joanne.
Thanks. I'm Bill Hurdig. I'm a permanent resident of Victoria Beach. I'm on board of directors of the Beaches Community Center and here on behalf of the organization. Thanks for making time. My purpose is to update council on the status of the Fit for the Future campaign underway at the community center and to advise where we are now headed.
One second, I apologize for interrupting, but Bill, if you could either speak up just a little bit or possibly come a little bit closer to the TV. It's a little bit hard to hear you.
Okay, sorry, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
That took 2 minutes. Just kidding. I just wanted to remind everybody, there's 2 parts to phase 1 of our campaign. One component is the paving of the hockey rink, while the other is the purchase of equipment for interim fitness facility. One of several pictures is worth 1,000 words, so there's a short video clip, 2 minutes and 35 seconds on the evolution of the rink paving project. So Lon, if you can hit it, please.
Let's see if I can get this.
Oh, God.
No, why is that? I hit the wrong. Hmm.
There you go. Is there
So this shows, it's supposed to be sequential,
any sound or are you
just
the,
music.
oh, all right.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
That's okay, it doesn't matter. It just shows what it was
Yeah.
and what it's become.
Boy, we have to hire a new technical specialist.
That's okay. It's moving.
Well, in the absence of the music, so you can see that they put, there's 16 inches of firm rock and then smaller grade put in. Here they're digging post holes for the pickleball courts. There's 6 pickleball courts on there and 2 basketball courts. This work was done by Maple Leaf Construction. Those holes go down about 10 feet or so.
Do they really?
Yeah. Asphalt paving. We looked at concrete was $60,000 more, and asphalt is a preferable surface, anyhow. better for people who've had limbs replaced by.
It's not many software though.
This is Corey's Park Mark, they're the general contractor, and with the surface done, they're doing the painting work. That material should lie, it's the same company that did the tennis courts, by the way. And the same materials, we estimate the life should be 8 years, but we are skating on it, so we're gonna have to learn if that
Yeah.
impacts it. See the basketball nets in the distance,
Yeah, it's great.
like half court or take the posts out. Gotta have some people in the picture.
Yeah, that's great.
Should have done a drone beforehand to see the weeds and no use whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, we all know what it was there before.
That's great.
So that's, we're going to use that, we've used that to inform the province, yourselves, Alexander, people who've been asking us what it's turned out. The rink is, that project's about 98% complete. There were 6 pickleball courts, as I mentioned, and the basketball court. As soon as it was ready to use, people jumped on it and used it right away. That was one of the things about the benefit of October, but we're planning a bigger opening in around May long next year. Right now, we're well positioned putting ice in. We replaced the pump in the well with a larger capacity pump for improved flooding capacity. We've got a large group of volunteers working, and we've established, well, again, I mentioned Public Works, and they've been great. And we're all looking forward, once Mother Nature cooperates, putting some ice on it. Flooding it even now, some of it's seeping away, but that's where it goes. Now, as far as the fitness facility is concerned, as of December 1st, we have a fully functional facility located in the basement of the social scene. We are pleased to collaborate with the social scene to provide a much needed facility for the entire region. Although the space is relatively small, we've spent almost $50,000 on new equipment. Registration for memberships has exceeded our expectations. We already have 46 members signed up, which is just stunning. I've been working on financial projections and so forth, and this exceeds by a long shot what we expected at this point in time. We're going to use this winter to learn how to run a fitness facility. Come spring, we all know what happens to our 750 or so odd person community. Come summertime, it's 5,000 people. There's going to be a lineup for use of this facility for sure, and there will be even with 46 people. This brings me to my final point. Hockey rink and interim facility was phase 1. Phase 2 is a capital project to add a permanent fitness facility to our existing building. The response to memberships just validates that there's a demand for this in our region. And sorry, Steve, I circulated a drawing of our plan. I can send on that electronically, you can pass it. So we're looking at a 2,800 square foot facility. We continue to fundraise to cover our 50% share of the estimated cost of the addition. So the projects that we've done so far, we successfully applied to building sustainable communities in the province, and they funded half. Our contribution includes the monies from the RMSDB and Alexander. We right now have almost $250,000 towards phase 2. Every bit counts, so we're urging people to consider contributing whatever they can manage, either as a current year donation or as a pledge, because a pledge counts towards matchable as well. We presented to Alexander earlier today, and we'll be applying to them for continued support. This council has stepped up already, as you know, $10,000 a year for 3 years. If there's any spare change lying around, it's not very popular these days, but every little bit counts, because what we've accomplished was in the neighborhood of just under 400,000 for the rink. We have funds up to 120,000 for the fitness facility. This for the interim fitness facility equipment. this project is going to be larger than both of those combined. So we do need to continue to fundraise. So to conclude, we feel we have shown we can tackle big challenges and succeed, and success breeds success. We are optimistic that we will reach our goal of a modern, substantial fitness facility in the East Beaches region. Questions? How am I doing for time?
2 minutes still.
Yeah, you're doing great. I'm just looking at the fitness area, and I noticed you have power operated mirrored barn doors in the change rooms. I don't know if I like that. Like, what if I'm standing in front of the power operated
They
door?
want automatically, and that's why.
It's not a good sight. I can tell you, it's not gonna be pretty.
Well, I mean, no, I was.
No,
I'm not
okay,
saying-
no.
We can get those size reducing mirrors.
Oh,
if we
okay.
want. No, we have, we were very fortunate, the community of Pownano has a larger facility than what we anticipate. But we visited them and we've got many good ideas from them.
Oh, good.
One of which is, one of the walls, the west wall is going to be almost entirely mirrors.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's good.
Now, what we've got there, this is just a concept drawing that we agreed upon, and we're looking at retaining a contractor to do the full design and then the build.
So that's going on to the building that's there now.
Yeah, you know where if you know where the Anderson, the Anderson spot is? The
Post office and then Anderson's.
Okay.
It essentially
Yeah.
continues out 40 feet
Right.
towards.
Towards the rink.
Drive.
Yeah.
Tragically, the croak and curl setup might have to get moved.
Yeah.
So that tells you where it is.
Yeah, but that could be moved, couldn't it? Or is it?
Oh, yeah, the center of it is just an iron ring. You lift it
Right.
and press it.
Yeah.
Casualty of progress.
Still looks, it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have extra, there's going to be two showers according to 2,800 square foot configuration with the sliding barn doors. 2 showers plus a washroom. And there's certainly a need in these facilities for adequate storage as well.
There's never enough storage, right?
Have you thought about seats for around the pickleball?
I'm sorry?
Seats, seating,
Pickleball?
Stadium.
Well,
seating,
there
seating
is-
eventually?
Yeah, I saw benches in there.
There's some
Video.
beaches.
There's hockey
bleachers
benches.
that are actually
They have beaches on there.
somewhat decrepit.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
over the winter, Joanne, I'm gonna be building some benches for people to sit under using recycling. But that's really, see, the rink becomes a hockey rink in the winter and a pickleball basketball.
When you flood the ice, do you put some sort of membrane to cover over the existing pickleball?
Very good question. And a number of people have asked about that. Opinions are totally divided. We considered tarps, but first we considered one big tarp. It's 200 feet by 85 feet.
Yep.
We realized to try and move anything like that is, it's spooled up. So we looked at that. But the concern was the quality of the ice. We do also want to protect the surface, but the contractor said that we should get 8 years at least out of this surface. Replacement cost of about 25,000 over 8 years, so we'll be able to cover that cost of operating. So in other words, the first year, no, we're not putting anything on the surface. So being very careful as we gradually add layers of flooding, because we don't want it to get marred in any way. And after the first year, we're going to see if there's any need to consider. Because also, if anyone familiar with that rink, sun coming from the south on the north end, it melts very quickly. It's a dark surface, so it could melt more quickly than usual. But on the other hand, talking to public works guys, they're really happy that they're putting water on and seeing water go on. It's not seeping into the sand.
Great. Steve, any comments, questions?
No, actually, excuse me, the tarp underneath was going to be my only point because you find that we already addressed that. So, but yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Great
very
job.
much.
Thank you. All right, hold on. Isn't it? All right, we will move on. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll move on to accounts and finances. The accounts payable listing. Councillor Chadsey is not here. So Erwin, I don't know if you want to take it, or if you want Lon to just go over the highlights
You
or.
wanna read the motion first?
I should read the motion first, yeah. Good point. Be it resolved that the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Total payment in the amount of $73,799.10, which includes $69,018.62 for checks 11819 to 11837 and $4,780.48 in net credit card charges. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Steve, second. Thank you. Sorry, Lon. Thank you.
I can go through it. Yeah, sure. So the amounts were mentioned, there's 19 checks. There's a bigger one. There's a few checks in here that are notable. The chipping that was done by the fire hall, that final bill was over 20,000, but the overall chipping budget is slightly under budget for the year, which is
Yes.
a good sign.
Right.
Some more IT support for 2,900. Planning for zoning bylaw, 3,500. Some work on the Moonlight Inn, $4,567. That comes out of the donation money that we received. And there's a couple of payroll checks, payroll remittances, and nuisance ground. And there's some dangerous tree removal that we hired a company to do that for $2,800.
Yep.
And there's $4,780 of Visa. They're just made up of multiple across administration, public works, and the police department, and they're all just smaller amounts that are typical operating
And
expenses.
one final, we hope to God, it's the final expense associated with the barracks. Is sealing off the HRV to keep the chipmunks out. So that was $432.
All right, thank you. Any questions, gentlemen? All right, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. Business arising from previous meetings. This is mostly discussion. First one on the list was the Shoreline Management Advisory Committee, which Joanne gave us some interesting interesting information on. We have received comments from about 3 or 4 other members of the community on this type of committee. So there is lots to go through. I think December 15th is a bit of a rush. I know you were. And I had one question from a resident about the dissolution of the previous committees. And the first one was no longer active after about 2012, after we did the what you heard document, or you referenced it in your comments, Joanne. After that, the advisory committee pretty much faded out, and that's when we hired Baird, and that's when all the community consultations with Baird happened, and then we got the Baird report in 2014. Then in 2017, Gord Buchanan, councillor at the time, came forward with a project. He wanted to start the committee up because he wanted to do some projects. They first looked at Patricia Beach at that time, this advisory committee. And then they determined that the 4th Avenue stairs, which were completely ripped out in the weather bomb of 2010, were more of a priority. So they switched to that project. So they did do that project. They completed that project, and there's been no action, or no, should I say, I don't want to say that. No, there's been no action on the Shoreline Advisory Committee since that time. But neither committee was effectively disbanded by resolution of council. They just didn't do anything, and they therefore faded away. So
what I learned is that council was a year, can be changed every year.
yeah, there was a,
And that I'm really impressed. I was really impressed. I don't know things that it cost too much, but
It was half paid for by insurance.
no, it wasn't half paid.
Yep.
That, when we get
Yeah.
the bottom fixed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but that was the last time.
We're doing.
Yeah, that was the last time there was a committee.
Well, we
and-
appreciate your suggestions, and you're preaching to the converted council has decided quite some time ago that we're definitely going to recreate the Shoreline Management Committee, and your suggestions in prior correspondence has been very useful. Thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to address that. Any other comments on the Shoreline Committee? I don't want to.
Just one comment. It just strikes me that the proposed structure is going to be very large and probably a little unwieldy. You might think about having a smaller core of individuals who could then reach out to the individual property owner associations and be the consensus builder. If you brought all those groups together, you just have another brouhaha.
Yeah.
Well, it will be a committee organized. Yeah, it will be a committee organized by council, and we have all this information from people to go back.
Councilor Randall, it's long overdue, and we look forward to having that advisory group provide. They could be the front runners on some of these challenges.
Well, I think we just need to really educate people as to what the real story is. You know, we can't control everybody.
Nope.
You know,
No,
as a
okay,
school
Joanne.
teacher, there's always a
Okay.
percentage that.
Joanne?
Gotcha.
Thank you. All right, notice of construction work on the road allowance and the shoreline for King Edward and Alex. This is on our website. King Edward and Alex beaches are temporarily closed to the public along with King Edward and Alexander road allowance. Access is to the beaches. Anyone entering the site should have mandatory PPE as per posted construction site designation. Only authorized personnel should be accessing the site. And if you need access, please phone one of the 2 numbers on the sign, on the fence, before going to the site to ensure that the contractor knows when people are around the site when they're working. Thank you for your cooperation and patience.
Just a comment on that, purely from a safety point of view. Anyone who is accessing the beach without permission is putting the municipality at risk. Because if we allow people to go down there just willy-nilly, they are entering the construction area, which is not designed for spectators. So please, let's be respectful of the fact that there are contractors there, they're working. But please, if you're going down there, you must get permission first to access the property so that the municipality can maintain a safe and hazard-free work environment.
All right, thank you. Anything else on that one? Okay. Zoning bylaw. Council had an opportunity to meet with our planner virtually last week, some virtually, some in the office, to review changes that have been requested by residents, resident groups to date, and changes that our planner has recommended. So we'll be having a meeting with residents, I believe, in the spring for feedback before moving further along. Before this term ends, I sure hope we have a new zoning bylaw, because I'm not hopeful. But anyways, let's hope we can move forward. I think Andre's doing a great job.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And, some people will be critical that we're not moving fast enough. There were some delays.
That'd be me.
There were some delays, but now the thinking is we best wait till spring so that a larger number of people can be available if they want to participate in the review process.
Right, but Landmark will be working in the meantime to fine tune and streamline what he's come up with so far and solidify that. There will be other meetings with council so that we can go back to the general public and hopefully get consensus.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will move on then to new business. The VB utility rate application. Oops. All right, be it resolved that the Victoria Beach Water Utility Rate Application Bylaw 1647 be given first reading. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. So council, you received bylaw 1647, which is 4 pages long. I hope you had a chance to review it. As Lon explained at a previous council meeting, it is because we need to up our rates for our water utility.
And be compliant with the PUB.
and be compliant with Public Utilities Board. These rates were last increased, when was that?
2021. For Victoria Beach water plant is 2021.
That's when it ended, I thought.
Yeah,
Right, so,
there was nothing for
yeah, so,
2022 or 2023. We were just on 2021 rates.
so,
Just maintain the existing.
Yeah.
so once we pass first reading of this bylaw, then you take it to, or you send it to
It
Public
goes, yeah, it
Utilities
goes to the
Board?
PUB and then they have, they send it out for comments and feedback from the public.
And after first reading, it goes up on our website, please,
Yes.
so everybody can see.
Yeah, PUB will make sure that everybody sees it.
All right.
Because I saw,
It looked like a 3% increase right from 2019 to through, so.
Yep.
We had small little deficits in those last 2 years,
Up to
just because of the rates.
3% cumulative since
Yeah,
2021.
So it's actually less than 3% annual.
no, I meant 3% annual increase.
Oh, it's compound.
and this proposed schedule goes to 2029.
We'll see if PUB accepts that. You're
If
not
they-
like going out that far. I think it's going to be 5 years.
Yeah, and we haven't projected any increases beyond 24, all the way into 2029.
All right, any questions, gentlemen?
So,
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. And the same thing for our Albert Beach Water Treatment Plant. Coming up, be it resolved, the Albert Beach Water Utility Rate Application Bylaw 1648 be given first reading. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you. Again, gentlemen, it's another 4-page document that you've received. So any comments or questions on this one?
no, it's straightforward. It's on a proportionally smaller scale, of course, and the increases are really just a pittance.
What's the percentage on Albert Beach?
About the same, 3%.
Okay. Any further comments or questions, gentlemen?
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Okay, moving on to the emergency plan. I seem to have a lot of this in front of me, sorry. All right, to be it resolved, the 2024 emergency response plan be approved and submitted to the Emergency Measures Organization. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Graham, second. Thank you. Once again, this plan was sent around to council. It was around 30 plus pages. Did you? I'd like to thank Shelley Napier, our emergency consultant, for helping us get this done. And I know Brad, our fire chief, and the admin, and Elaine at Public Works helped get a lot of the information together. So thank you very much. Any concerns or questions on this document? Nothing? Okay. And this does have to be approved by council, then it is submitted to Emergency Measures Organization.
Correct.
And can they come, do we know, can they come back to us if they have concerns?
I would assume they could.
I would assume they would.
Shelley's
Okay.
pretty thorough. I would
Yeah.
be surprised if.
Okay. All right, any further, just go ahead, Steve.
I mean, the only thing that I'd bring up is just the necessity for everybody in the community to go read it. We did put out that, sorry, excuse me.
This isn't a public plan, this one, to my knowledge.
Oh, I thought that we had this one on our website as well. All right, never mind, it's all good. But we still, but everybody still needs to be aware of all the emergency procedures that we need to do. But yep, never mind.
Right, we do have emergency procedures on our website and emergency tips and that kind of thing for residents on our website. And we often get the question, do you have an emergency response plan? Yes, we do. This document though contains information on who we contact, mutual aid, information that is sensitive to council who would be operating the Emergency Operations Center, to our administration, its logistics. It's not something that's generally, that is shared publicly. But it is definitely necessary for when there is an emergency in our community. It is it is front and center to how we manage that.
Yeah, it's
Right.
more structure as opposed to procedure.
My fault.
No worries, Steve. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right. 2024 council meeting schedule. Be it resolved to approve the 2024 council meeting schedule. May I have a mover?
Okay.
Steve, thank you. Graham, second. Thank you. Gentlemen, you've had a chance to look at the schedule. What we've decided is one in Winnipeg, first meeting of the month, second meeting of the month at Victoria Beach, except in June, July, August, and September. Those 8 meetings will be at Victoria Beach. And then we go back to the Winnipeg Victoria Beach. And the Board of Revision is in there, which I'd like all of council member to make note of, because we are the Board of Revision,
That's right. Whether we like it or
whether we
not.
like it or not. Steve?
Is it necessary that we have the 2 meetings in January and February? Because so far we've usually done one in both months, haven't we?
That came up earlier. Erwin brought that up. I think there was one time we did one meeting in February, because February is generally a shorter month. I think it is a leap year this year, 2024. I think it depends on what we need to do. I mean, we do have to have budget discussions in there somewhere too, right?
Well, that's just sort of my point, is that we could always substitute one in for that. So like we can schedule a day during February to meet, January to meet to go over budget. But I don't necessarily think that that we need to be meeting twice publicly in January. Only
It's very hard to predict in advance that we're not going to need 2 meetings in a month. I mean, how many months have we had over the last 3-4 years where we could have got by with 1 meeting? Every one of them's got important stuff in there. Why arbitrarily skip one?
Well, I think there's some considerations for the weather in terms of the impact on lawn and those of us who reside in the city or near the city in terms of driving back and forth to the beach.
Yes, but we have to go to meeting.
Excuse me, council could, at their option, by giving 2 weeks' notice, simply decide to postpone or cancel a particular meeting if there's very little on the upcoming agenda. But if we lay this out, we can always amend it with proper notice.
Yes. If possible, I would like to stick to this because I find it very, I don't like that we move meetings around. I agree. Steve?
From an administration point of view, January 9th would be the one that I would you're just coming back off Christmas holidays and stuff, and you have to kind of scramble to get everything together, and payments and stuff. I mean, it works, but I just.
All in favor of canceling?
Well,
We can do that next week.
there is provision with good reason for some of us to use the go to meeting format.
Yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
could try that too. Just have a
And,
hybrid meeting.
and I guess to go to the points that have been made, sometimes that first January meeting, given that you've just come off a week of closure at the office,
Stuff
everybody's
like that.
coming off holiday. Well, I wasn't going to say it piles up. I was going to say it might be quieter.
That's what I meant. It's quiet, yeah. Nothing really piles up over Christmas.
Well, let's have the meeting, and then if as you're adjourning the meeting, you say, well, geez, we didn't need to bother with that, but I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on it.
Leave it at-
Let's think about that because it is a week after Christmas break, right? It's not immediate.
You do postpone those, the second and fourth, so.
Yeah, we
That
did
helps.
postpone it. So I would prefer to leave it as it is for now. We can change it if necessary, but I don't like to flip flop around as much as we have in the last little while.
I agree. We have to wait for Erwin so he can call the votes.
All right, so for now, it appears that we are, I believe we're in consensus that we keep it the way it is for now. Okay, all those in favor? Carried, thank you. Seasonal bonus.
No wages.
No, wages,
and-
pardon me, got the wrong one. There it is. Okay, be it resolved to approve the 2024 wages and salaries. May I have a motion, mover, please? Erwin, thank you. Second, Steve, thank you very much. Once again, gentlemen, you got those wages and salaries for 2024. A reminder that there are some union employees, so that has already been determined. Any comments?
So essentially, this reflects on a 3% increase in wages, pretty much across the board.
Correct.
Mhm.
That's what you've done in the past. You typically follow the union agreement, just to
Yeah.
keep everybody in the same.
Yeah.
kind of projection.
Okay,
Yeah, it looks acceptable to me.
Steve, any comments?
It's not fair. What's been agreed on beforehand? I'm sorry, I'm all stuffed up here. So, but yeah, no, it looks good.
All right. Hearing nothing further then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Okay, now I'm back on track. Seasonal bonus. Be it resolved to approve the 2023 year-end employee bonuses. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Steve, second. Thank you. Once again, this is for our permanent employees. It's something that has been going on since I joined council and before in 2010. And I have to say the rates have not increased since 2010.
It's traditional. And
It's a bonus. It's a
it would
thank
be
you.
a slap in the face to just take this away.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's
No.
not a lot of money. It looks satisfactory to me.
And it's a thank you to our employees.
I would take issue with the word bonus, because bonus implies that there's been some special effort, and there certainly has been good effort, no question. But it's really kind of a Christmas present. It's, everyone gets it, so it's.
Yeah, it's appreciation.
It's
not-
appreciation.
Yeah, I like
appreciation,
that.
All right, well-
You got it.
But
Okay.
I'll word
it
it.
does not reflect on a particular individual's effort or lack of say.
I'll change
It's
the
across
word to
the board.
bonus. Everybody okay? Or I'll change it to appreciation.
Appreciation.
I might strongly disagree with Erwin's assessment as to how bonuses are tallied, especially for CEOs making millions of dollars for failing companies. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Now, that's a separate issue, and just for the record, council is not included in this.
Oh, geez, I thought
Sorry,
we
guys.
were.
No,
Next year.
no, but we get cookies from,
I ate mine already. Oh, man, that's a good.
anyway, it's okay.
Yeah, but was it 3% bigger than last year?
All right, we digress. We digress. All right, so any further discussion on the,
No.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, correspondence, information and announcements. The tax sale is going ahead on December 13th. I'm not sure what day of the week that is. Wednesday? It's a Wednesday. Here at the office at 1 p.m. And there is a list on the bulletin board of those properties that are today still on the tax sale list.
And there's a list there you can take if you want.
Sorry. What other information did I have? A few things that I had written down, of course. Manitoba Hydro has advised us that they will be doing vegetation management in RMBB and the Traverse Bay areas in December and January. The work is needed. Okay, I'll read it. Hydro will have contractors continuing vegetation management work in the area of BB and Traverse Bay, where they will be trimming and removing hazardous trees and bush impeding on its right-of-ways, which pose a risk to power lines and public safety. Crews will start early December, should be complete by early 2024. The work is needed to provide adequate clearance to power lines to reduce outages by trees and fire risk of downed live lines. It'll provide easier access for Manitoba Hydro crews. It'll be both manually and with the use of equipment. Temporary power outages may be required to allow crews to safely remove branches.
It's my understanding that they have the authority to do this. So this announcement is not seeking our permission.
No.
It's simply a courtesy to advise us. The temporary power outages, obviously, if there's any of them that are foreseeable, we would hope that they would contact the RM so we can advise our residents.
I just wanted everybody to be aware of that when they saw the hydro crews in the community. The RML of Alexander side of the Albert Beach property owners would like to have a meeting to discuss safety issues on Safi Road.
Yep.
Perhaps they could come as a delegation at the next council meeting, one in January, to have that discussion, or?
I think they were looking for an opportunity for some back and forth discussion, which doesn't always,
Right.
it's not always available
Delegation,
as a
yeah.
delegation.
And if it's anything to do with enforcement, though, that's a police board matter,
Yep.
right?
Now, whenever they get together, it seems to me we've always gone to their offices. Is there a possibility of that?
Well, this is the Arm of Alexander Property Owner
Okay,
Association.
all right,
The north and south side of Safi.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so anyways, I noticed I did get another email, I don't know if all of council did, from them today with more of their concerns that were actually listed. So that was helpful. And some solutions as well. So maybe we can do that in the new year sometime.
Okay,
Set some dates.
Okay.
Give us some options.
Okay. The Wawanesa grant for community wildfire prevention. I passed this along to Lon. One of the residents sent it to me, and we're not sure what we're gonna, if we're gonna apply, if we're gonna have all the information. But Dane's working on it at Public Works. He's gonna pass some information on to Lon. There's a number of things, I suppose, that we could consider it for. Brad's also having input, our fire chief. The grant, I believe, is only up to $15,000, so that doesn't guarantee you get 15. And I don't know if there's a municipal portion that has to be with that or not. I haven't looked into it.
It wasn't clear.
It wasn't clear?
Not
Okay.
in the information I got.
But there's a number of things we could do to improve fire resistance and information in Victoria Beach. So as usual, though, the deadlines for these grants are within 2 weeks, right?
yeah.
So we'll see what we can do. And I think that's all I had for information. Anybody else have information, announcements or correspondence to?
Well, I've already commented on the very helpful correspondence pertaining to the Shoreline Advisory Committee.
Mhm, mhm.
You know,
Erwin?
Just a general comment. The last few weeks and months have been at times very challenging. Council has had to deal with a very, very difficult decision. I certainly extend and thank you to Joanne for reminding us all to be courteous and respectful in our discussions. I can tell you that some of the emails that I have received have been less than that. And, I have a little Irish blood in me, and I don't mind a interesting and challenging discussion. But I would be very disappointed if I lowered myself to the point of being disrespectful and using what I describe as bullying tactics. You don't have to worry about getting bullied by me. I'm 5'6", and I don't pick many fights. But I'm not afraid to debate and discuss. And I welcome an opportunity for a thoughtful discussion about issues. We're in a community, we're extremely affluent. We're well educated. But lately, there's been times when I have felt disappointed and disenchanted about how low some of the people within the community have sunk. We need to treat our fellow people with more respect. And I welcome an ongoing discussion, and I encourage all of you to pick up the phone and have that debate with me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so, gentlemen, anything else? No. All right, be it resolved that the December 5th, 2023 regular council meeting be adjourned. To confirm, the next council meeting will be on Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m. here in Winnipeg, in the Winnipeg office at 2035 Portage Avenue. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Steve, second, thank you. All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Steve, I hope you feel better.